over the last couple of years, and then open it up for some discussion. You might have noticed that the description in the program, it really doesn't match what I'm talking about. I think it was accidentally from another session, so the description's not relevant. But the topic is more around this impact initiative, which is the user-friendly name for the social enterprise sector development program that is being delivered, co-delivered and co-designed by Arkina and the Department of Internal Affairs, and supported by CENT, which is another name for the Zero Waste Network of Aotearoa. So, firstly, I just want to check, just thumbs up, just make sure everyone can hear me okay. Is that all good? Cool, awesome. And yeah, let's do that. So I'm going to just share my screen with you, and all going well, you'll see what I see. Okay. Oops. Yeah, so folks, there we go. Here we go. So, so can everyone see that again? Just thumbs up, make sure you can see the screen. Is everyone seeing a slide online? Oh, shit. Yep, cool, yeah. Awesome. Okay, so so folks, this program, you might have remembered it. It sort of started not long after the Social Enterprise World Forum that was held in Christchurch in Ōtautahi a couple of years ago. And at that time, the government had put out a request for a party to help them grow this, help the government really grow, do their part in growing the social enterprise sector. And it was a program that was started by National Party when they were in power, or the concept, and then when after the election, the coalition decided to carry on with it. So the minister responsible for it is the Honourable Poto Williams, and before that it was the Honourable Penny Henare. And it's a 3-year program, and as you can see there's three goals of the program. It is to create the conditions for a thriving social enterprise sector in Aotearoa. In some ways we have that, so I guess you could say a more thriving social enterprise sector. But yeah, certainly to try to create that ecosystem to make it do the best it can. We need to demonstrate how social enterprise is contributing to the government's goals. So, you know, clearly government has a whole range of goals, regardless of the party in control, around the environment and around social goals. And so one of our tasks is to try to demonstrate to government that the social enterprise sector helps with that stuff. And by doing that, then we can help government to articulate what it is they need to be doing, or what they'd like to do, or embed in government plan really for going forward as to what they will do beyond the life of this program to support social enterprise. So we approached it this way. The first year we went out and we spoke to a whole bunch of people operating social enterprises around Aotearoa. We did a whole bunch of research, a lot of talking, to get to avoid doubling up, to avoid working on things that weren't going to be useful to practitioners. So it was very much focused on what's going to be helpful to someone on the ground. The second year is delivering on 4 key areas, which I'll talk about in the next slide. And then year 3, clearly we're about to hit a problem, which is where we're at now, which is doing that third part of the strategy. So the 4, whoopsie daisy. Sorry, folks, I just need to jump back. Yeah. Okay. So why is the government interested? This is why. It's the idea that, look, if social enterprise may be small, it may be big. There's different opinions around how many social enterprises there are in Aotearoa, and what the definition is, and all that sort of thing. But in terms of enterprises trying to deliver a social environmental impact, from a government perspective, they're saying, well, look, those enterprises actually have a really big impact on the ways we do business in New Zealand. And so even if the sector is relatively small, there's a belief that it actually does impact on other businesses as well, which is good. So it has a reach beyond its own activity. And then, of course, it's the outcomes that we have for the environment and for social outcomes. So this is where we're at. We spent that first year looking at what was needed. Year two, we've been working on 4 key areas. And then we're about to start forming a strategy with central government on what would happen longer term. 4 key areas. When we spoke to people, they said these are the 4 things that they thought would be most useful for this program to focus on. Recognizing that there's a whole bunch of people doing a whole bunch of awesome things. And so we wanted to be really focused on what it was that we could contribute, and in particular being government facing, how we could advocate for the sector into government. So one is around the finance and legal aspects. Now, that's because as soon as you start talking about finance and raising finance for enterprises, you very quickly get to the legal structure. You know, if you're a trust, then it's hard to sell shares, or you can't sell shares in your trust without going to jail. If you are a company, then you often can't get philanthropic grants as seed funding. So raised that whole question around the legal frameworks, which Jackson Rowland's been doing some great work on in terms of trying to understand what's the actual problem that's needing to be solved. And that was a request from MB to say, look, yep, we can understand you might want a legal structure for a social enterprise, but it's a really hard thing to do. So we really need to know exactly what the problem is that the current structures don't serve. So that's what he's been working on. Social procurement, down in Christchurch, Sean Barnes has been working on the Forward platform. That's a program to broker and help buyers connect with social enterprises and social enterprises connect with buyers. Impact's really important and becoming more important, I think, in the businesses I'm involved in, because as we're needing to compete a bit more now for customers and for when we do need investment or financial support, then demonstrating our impact is becoming more and more vital. It's good to know what we're doing is useful, of course. And then lastly, and not leastly, is capability building. So how do you make sure, how do you help people get the access to the skills and resources they need where and when they need them and where they are? So there's been work done in that area around building a network of locally based enterprise support agencies, or social enterprise, community enterprise support agencies, which has worked well. There was a trial, but it's ended up becoming a longer term thing. So there's that's about getting locals to deliver the local support rather than centralizing everything. So that's that. So one of the ways we've done this is we have formed a sector working group. That photo on the top left is with some of the members, with Poto Williams, with the Minister. If we think of social enterprise, and I know we could talk about this all day, but if we think of social enterprise being an umbrella term for a number of more specialist, I suppose, style of businesses, we've been fortunate to end up with a bunch of people from those different branches or PO of social enterprise. So for example, we've got Shay Wright and Teresa Tapania Ashton who are working in multi-enterprise. We've just last week had Beatrice Fomoena join us. She's on the Pacific Business Trust, so really focused on Pacifica Enterprise. We've got Liam McLevy, from Youth Enterprise. Cliff Colquhoun, he's based up in Kaitaia. He runs 9 community enterprises up there for CBEC. Gareth with Community Enterprise Network, and I'm with Community Enterprise as well. And then we have Francis from the Department of Internal Affairs, and then Tessa and Lou from Arkina. Then we've been going around the country doing a bunch of kitchen table talks. We've done about 25 of them. The one on the top right is Barry's Kitchen Table in Wanaka, which was one of the last ones we managed to do before we shut down. Shout outs to Barry because he built that table. So that's awesome. And I've seen a lot of tables in the last year or two, so it's a good one to sit around. And yeah, so we've been going out, meeting with social enterprise practitioners in the towns and cities that they work in and live in. So one of the things I just wanted to really quickly shout out to is there's lots of reports, and you've on that link there for the Impact Initiative website publications. There's a whole bunch of publications and reports that you can read that have come out of this program. But this one I think is particularly relevant at the moment from my perspective, because it looks at the last 30 years of social enterprise in Aotearoa. Billy Matheson, many of you will know, is a bit of a legend, or is very much a legend. He's I think he's done some really good research here and looking at what some of the history. And the reason I'm pointing this one out is because he's going back to the late 80s, early 90s, and in some ways the conditions aren't dissimilar to perhaps what we're going to find next as we're coming out of this lockdown period of high unemployment and a lot of uncertainty and a lot of anxiousness. So that's when social enterprise, or certainly community enterprise in the waste sector, the sector I work in, certainly started thriving in those adverse conditions. So, so I'd encourage you to have a read of that if you have a chance, and then yeah, find out more there. So I'm going to stop sharing so I can see you guys, and yeah, and I guess we will now open it up to any questions or comments. I'm interested in what you think. I'm interested in what you, if you think there's other things that we should be working on, and just general conversation. Just a little bit of background, as Barry said at the beginning there. A lot of the members on that sector working group are running businesses. I've got these 2 recycling centres. We've got 14 staff, and we're going back to work next week. And so this last week's been all about the health and safety plans and the issues around getting the wage subsidy and paying staff, or just making redundancies. All that's been very, very real, and I know it's true for everyone on that sector working group. So it's we do come from a practitioner base. But yeah, how do we do questions, Barry, and or discussions, or how do we manage?
Well, seeing there's so many people on this call, it might be worth either raising your hand digitally or physically like this. And then Matthew, you could maybe select somebody and ask them if they want to speak. Otherwise, it could be a little bit busy with everyone speaking at once.
Cool, awesome. All right. So on the chat channel, I'll just see. Oh yeah, so the first one there from Lorraine about intermediaries. In terms of the ecosystem re-intermediaries, Lorraine, I guess, I'm not entirely sure what you mean, but I think we've been working with a bunch of agencies and newly formed agencies around the country, of which Barry is part of one called Cecil down in the Southern Lakes area. They're enterprise agencies that are wanting to support community and social enterprises locally. And so we did this trial for a year, which proved to be really successful in the sense of pulling together people from the different regions and sharing notes, and that stuff that is centralized, we have to really quickly distribute it out. Everyone's at different stages, so it's really, it's not McDonald's, you know. Clearly you're trying to support a community where they're at, and or where their local authorities are at, and where the business sector's at, and the community's at. So yeah, there's some good work happening there, and I think Nicola might talk more about that later at the end of today. Mark, I saw you had your hand up. Mark Russell.
Thank you. I have been looking at and chatting with people here around some ideas for new social enterprises or new community enterprises. Where would we start, or can you give any kind of pointers or suggestions? Or I know that's a very broad and general question, but that's where I'm at. So yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so 2 things there, Mark. One is well, firstly, whereabouts in the country are you? Just
Waiheke Island.
Oh, beautiful. So yeah, so there's a few different places you could go. There is some resources here on the Impact Initiative website, and also on Akina's website. There's some good stuff. Personally, when I've been looking at starting the businesses that I've started, the social lean canvas has been my go-to for working out my whole structure from there. And then just recently, Laura, who's on this call, has been working on, and Anne have been working on a capability self-assessment tool. So that'll be coming out in the next little while, next 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And I think I did it as a trial, and it's amazing. It's awesome. Even with Manaaki Wastebusters, the business I run, it's been going 8-9 months, and it was really, really helpful for me to go through and think about where we're at, and it's worked out based on the life stage of your business. And it's got a whole bunch of resources in there of, okay, if you need help with this part of it, then go here. So keep an eye out for that as well. What have we got here? How do you define and measure impact? Great question. Oh man, that's why impact measurement and impact reporting is so important. And it's, you know, right now there's so much going on, isn't there? And I must admit, you know, last week, you know, writing another health and safety plan for operating at level 3, and what are you going to do with your POS machine and all that, and then trying to work out finance impact, it dropped right down in the thing, and yet it's becoming increasingly the most important thing I think we can do for our business, for Manaaki Wastebusters, longer term, or even medium term. So it has to be defined, and my opinion is it has to be defined individually within your business. For us, it's about waste diversion, it's about local employment, and it's about local economic development. And so that's how we measure our impact. We've got some very clear measurables on that. It's going to depend on your industry and what it is you're trying to have an impact on, as to how you want to do that.
Just jumping in, Matthew, Natasha Lou, our CEO, is doing a session at 3:30, and she's talking about impact broadly, but she does dive into a specific example for how Arkina approaches impact in terms of how we define it, how we so jump.
Cool, thanks Laura, awesome. Also, yeah, with regards to the discussion around what's happening with government to weave social enterprise into the future money stimulus, lots. But the government thing, as I'm sure many of you appreciate, is it's been it's been an eye-opener for me working in Wellington. I'm obviously based up in Auckland. I've worked a lot with local councils, as I say, in the waste sector, working in central government, the pressures and that go on. It's all about the lots and lots of talking, lots and lots of coffees, it seems to be, and it seems to be really, it seems to have value. And the really heartening thing that's happened there, this is going to be a roundabout way of answering the question, is that recently there was a workshop held for procurement managers, and it was only about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and our feeling was, oh look, hardly anyone's going to turn up from the ministries, from the various ministries that were invited. And of 19 government departments that were invited, all 19 of the top procurement managers turned up to that session. And that session was all about the value of when you're choosing now procurement aims, rather than just going to the status quo and the old ways of doing things, go for social enterprise as a way of getting more for your dollar, and having more impact for everyone. So yeah, that was, we were super stoked about that, because that could have gone the other way, right? You could have had 2 people sitting there. You go, oh gosh. But yeah, that was very, very heartening that they all turned up, and we're really, really interested and excited by it. So there'll be more of that happening. And I think that's really a big way that we'll be pushing things, is through that procurement channel and the relationships. Luckily, Lou has really good relationships, and as the Arkina team generally do across central government, and so making full use of that. I haven't seen any new funding for the government post lockdown for social enterprise, I'm afraid. No, not yet. Other than, yeah, say, hopefully some contracts, and a bit easier to get in the door, and people understanding a bit more around what it is you offer as a social enterprise. Oh yes, so the question from Ben there around what are the challenges in year 3. The challenge there, Ben, is that we haven't started. So year 3 starts at the end of June, but we're anticipating the challenge being that people just won't be as interested. So our plan for year 3 was to say, we don't want to get to the end of year 3 and just present a report to government and say, good, oh, that was great. We want to have complete buy-in across government for a strategy, and for it to be embedded, and it's almost just coming from them. I don't mean to use them. It's just there. So the challenge now is that everyone's really distracted, with recovery from COVID. So it's going to be really hard to sit down and just try and get people interested in that strategy. However, so I guess the question is that we're now trying to work out what do we do there? Do we pivot? Do we change the program? Do we try and extend it? Do we, so that's the stuff being worked on right now with the program team and the sector working group, trying to come up with a strategy for what we do with that stuff. It's kind of weird asking questions to this. You just sort of got a question written there and you answer it and you're like, oh, is that useful? Anyway, yeah.
I think we've space for one more question if anybody wants to pop their hand up or
unmute someone else, say one verbally. That'd be fun. And mute there, Anne.
Hi, sorry, I'm fumbling around from one screen to the other. I just wanted to come back to the question about the ecosystem and intermediaries. So I was involved in that pilot project last year, and some of the stuff that really stands out is one, the need for different local solutions, different communities, different parts of the country. Also, really hard to get funding or resourcing to support that local coordination. And Karen's nodding furiously at this point. She's been there, she knows the struggle. But also really seeing the importance of that really gutsy on the ground driven initiatives. And so I think one of the things that's quite exciting at the moment, and that new network forming. So, again, Nicola we'll be talking about it in a session later on today, but is that opportunity for peer-to-peer, different places across the country to draw and resource from each other, but also to use this mechanism through the impact initiative of having an avenue of going through to the sector working group, which Matthew has highlighted he's part of, is that there's an avenue to really get and amplify examples of what's happening on the ground. So in our last Insights report, we were highlighting how a group of an enterprise in Manaaki, Ngāhere communities, how they're looking to pivot at this point in time and to share, that straight back in through the Department of Internal Affairs, what people are doing, driven from local, but also the need for government resourcing to support those local initiatives. So it's just my experience and on how that's happening, and it's still moving forward.
Awesome. Thanks, Sam. So that must be us, Barry. Got to let everyone get to got to walk across the venue to the next meeting.
We've got just another couple of minutes. So if there's a wrap up or a last final thought you'd like to share, Matthew, before people find the next link, then please go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing that I just say as a final thing is, this program aside and all the activity aside, one of the things I've just been really noticing with myself is just, the busyness of, running social enterprises and doing this stuff and thinking so many things at the moment. It's just I've been interested in my staff as well, just the toll that people, even when they're looking super chilled and like nothing's a problem, and they're like the classic swan, swimming across the lake, just furiously paddling underneath. But I think a lot of kindness at the moment is needed, because I'm noticing the fractiousness or the irritability comes out, and it is hard. It's such hard times. And so my thing is just be really kind to each other and look after each other, and if you do have any concerns with anything, just come and or any comments about this program, please just yell out. I'd love to talk to you guys. I'm the guy to talk to. So it's just, you'll have my details somewhere, or matthew@envision.nz. So I'd love to connect with any of you anytime. So, but thank you very much for your time today. It's wonderful. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Thanks, Matthew. That was an awesome session. Appreciation from everyone. go well. And if everyone just wants to click on the link from the program for their next session and make your way into your next room. Hopefully I'll see you there.